every soul is born rich, with the gold of divine possibility glittering silently beneath the surface of fear, doubt, and limitation. We are not here to struggle, but to remember. To awaken to the truth that the universe is an abundant supplier and the law is always working. Whether we know it or not, the moment we align with this higher vibration, the gates of the invisible swing open, and all things begin to flow. Wealth, health, miracles, and money are not random blessings granted to the few. They are spiritual principles, pillars that rise when the foundation of thought is laid in faith, not fear. When we plant words like seeds in the fertile soil of the subconscious, knowing that every spoken word sets the law in motion, we begin to shape our reality with certainty and joy. The power that created the stars and turned the tide can just as easily clear a debt, restore the body, open doors, and multiply every need met. There is no order of difficulty in divine demonstration. What seems miraculous to the human mind is simply natural law to spirit. Declare, I now align with the rhythm of divine intelligence. The 4 pillars are mine by divine right. Do not ask how or when. That is not your part. The spoken word is the wand. Your faith is the fuel. What you dare to speak in unwavering belief, the universe must obey. Money appears through unexpected channels. Health surges through the body like new wine. Miracles break forth as easily as flowers bloom in spring. You are not separate from your good. You are one with it. Let go of appearances. What you see may contradict what you know, but truth is never in what seems. Truth is in the unseen, the substance behind form, the root beneath the tree. Speak only what you want to create. Deny failure, deny delay. Stand firm in the knowing the 4 pillars are already yours, simply awaiting your recognition. The law does not fail. You are not begging. It is already done. Your word is your wand. Every word you speak holds power, and not metaphorically. It is literal, spiritual, and law-bound. Words are vibratory commands that go forth and shape the unseen into form. Most people speak idly, never realizing that their casual phrases are creative forces, building or breaking their world. To speak is to summon. Every phrase, whether born of fear or faith, becomes a seed planted in the great subconscious, which knows only to obey. When you say, I can't, the law answers, as you wish. When you declare, I am always supported, the same law goes into motion and brings the channels to match your decree. The spoken word cuts through the unseen, carving channels for substance to pour through. To speak something consistently is to magnetize it, to clothe it with your attention and belief, until it moves from the invisible into your visible world. The ancient mystics understood this. They did not beg, plead, or whimper before their challenges. They spoke to them. They commanded, knowing that behind their words stood the force of divine intelligence, always ready to mold and move according to the pattern set by the tongue. Idle words, sarcastic remarks, or declarations of lack are not harmless. They are builders. The subconscious mind receives them without question and sets about producing them with perfect fidelity. If a person says every day, nothing ever works out for me, they are not just venting. They are programming. They are directing a law that never sleeps, never forgets, and never mocks. The same law that produces miracles will also produce misery, based on what is spoken into it. That is why you must guard your words like treasure. Speak only what you desire to see. If you wouldn't want it to manifest, don't let it pass your lips. This is not superstition, it is spiritual science. Words form images, and images mold energy. What you speak becomes what you expect, and what you expect becomes what shows up. The tongue is not a mere organ of communication. It is a wand of manifestation. And whether you wave it with intention or not, it is always at work. This is why affirmations are so powerful. Not because they are positive, but because they are repeated with belief. An affirmation is not about repeating empty words. It is about impressing the subconscious mind until it accepts a new pattern. Once accepted, the pattern becomes a mold for the universe to fill. I am divinely provided for, when spoken in truth, becomes a command. The invisible substance hears it, obeys it, and finds channels to fulfill it. The reason people often say affirmations without results is because they speak them with doubt. Doubt is another form of word power. To affirm something with your mouth, but cancel it with fear in your heart, is to mix signals. The universe does not respond to scattered energy. It responds to clarity, certainty, and repetition. The more you speak from faith, the faster the forms align. Every time you say, I am, you are invoking the I am presence within you. When you say, I am broke, you are instructing the power within to create that experience. When you say, I am healthy, whole, and abundant, you are commanding the same power to bring those conditions to pass. The I am is the name of God in you. It is not to be taken lightly. Use it wisely, and it will build palaces. Use it carelessly, and it will create prisons. Speak your word and let it stand. Do not contradict it with worry or over-explanation. A magician does not apologize for his spell. He speaks it and knows. In the same way, when you say, doors open for me effortlessly, you do not need to monitor the how. The how is none of your business. The spoken word sets spiritual forces in motion that go before you, rearranging conditions, raising up people, and creating new paths. The more you understand this law, the more selective you become with language. You will not speak of sickness, even when symptoms appear. You will not speak of lack, even when the bank account is low. Why? Because you are not reporting facts. You are choosing futures. The facts are temporary, but the word is eternal. The word is seed. Choose your seed carefully, for it shall grow. People often talk themselves into defeat. They narrate failure with poetic detail. Nothing ever goes my way. I knew this would happen. Just my luck. Each of these statements is a spell, a decree, sent forth with emotional charge, received and acted upon by universal law. And then they wonder why life continues to reflect back hardship. It is because they keep calling it forth. To reverse this, one must become vigilant. Begin to listen to your own speech. Catch yourself in the act of self-sabotage and redirect it. Instead of, I'm always late, say, time bends for me. Instead of, I never have enough, say, I always have more than I need. At first it may feel awkward, even dishonest, but that is only because the mind is adjusting to a new command. Stay with it, and you will begin to see the shift. Your word creates your world. If you want to change your life, do not start with action. Start with language. Speak your way into the vibration you desire. Let your words lead, and your life will follow. Declare peace in the middle of chaos. Declare supply when the cupboard is bare. Declare health when the body seems weak. Speak not of the storm, but of the calm, not of the problem, but of the principle. Language is the first tool of the alchemist. The mystic does not just observe, they pronounce. They bless instead of curse, uplift instead of complain. The more you align with this understanding, the more sacred your speech becomes. You no longer speak to fill silence. You speak to create. You no longer react to outer conditions. You speak to transform them. The spoken word, backed by faith, is a decree. It overrides appearances, shifts energy, and anchors truth. There is no power in silence when fear is loud, but there is infinite power in the spoken word when it aligns with spiritual truth. Speak boldly. Speak clearly. Speak as one who knows that the universe listens, not to your wishes, but to your word. Faith activates the law. Without faith, words are hollow. Without belief, action is scattered. It is faith that breathes life into the spoken word, transforming it from a mere sound into a decree backed by divine authority. The law of the universe, spiritual, immutable, always operating, responds not to pleading or panic, but to faith that knows, that sees with inner eyes, and that dares to call the unseen real. Faith is not blind, it is vision. It is the ability to perceive truth in spite of appearance, to stand unwavering while the outer world shouts the opposite. It is the quiet but unshakable inner, knowing that what is spoken in truth, what is affirmed in alignment with divine principle, must manifest. There is no force in the universe that can deny faith, because faith operates on the highest vibration of law, oneness with Source. All things are possible to him who believes, not to him who tries hard, or worries, or waits with doubt in his heart, but but to him who believes. The law does not function through effort, it functions through alignment. When you have faith, you are in alignment. You are not hoping, you are not wishing, you are knowing. Knowing is the language of spirit, and faith is the bridge from the invisible to the visible. When a person has true faith, they do not chase results. They do not panic when the appearance contradicts the desire. They do not speak their fear or rehearse their limitations. Instead, they anchor into the feeling of completion. They speak their word with power, and then they rest. Not in passivity, but in confident expectation. Just as a farmer does not dig up seeds to check their progress, the faithful do not question the law once their word has been spoken. Faith is not passive acceptance. It is active knowing. It is standing before the lion's den and saying, I am protected. It is walking through lack and declaring, my supply is endless. It is facing delay and affirming, divine timing is perfect. When you operate in faith, you override the lower laws of chance, effort, and probability, and instead activate the higher law, the law of divine demonstration. Everything you see in the physical world began in the invisible. Thoughts clothed in feeling, words spoken in belief. These are the building blocks of reality. Faith is the master key that turns these raw materials into manifestation. Without it, the thoughts are scattered, the words are weak, and the energy is diffused. But with faith, every intention becomes a command, every desire becomes an order to the universe, and every step is guided with invisible intelligence. It does not matter how impossible a thing may seem. The moment you believe, you rise above circumstance. The law does not care if you are the first in your family to succeed, or if no one you know has ever healed from that illness, or if every bank account says zero. Those are appearances, and faith is not concerned with appearances. Faith concerns itself only with principle, and principle says, as you believe, so shall it be done unto you. You must choose to believe even when there is no evidence. Especially when there is no evidence. The law does not respond to evidence. It creates it. It does not wait for proof. It generates proof. The spiritual law is cause, not effect, and faith is the ignition switch. Once faith is activated, the machinery of manifestation begins its sacred work. It pulls resources, people, opportunities, and timing into place with divine precision. When you pray, when you affirm, when you speak your word, you must do so with full belief that it is already done. That is the posture of spiritual authority. Anything less is wavering, and a wavering mind is unstable in all its ways. To believe halfway is to receive halfway. To believe fully is to unlock the full demonstration of your desire, pressed down, shaken together, and running over. You do not need to know how. Faith never requires a roadmap. It simply requires certainty. The minute you insist on knowing the route, you fall into the realm of logic, and logic deals only with what is already known, already seen. Faith transcends that. It opens doors where there are no hinges. It builds bridges where there is no wood. It multiplies loaves when logic says there is not enough. It is not subject to time, history, or probability. It is subject only to itself. Some people say they believe, but they act in fear. They pray for abundance but speak of scarcity. They affirm healing but dwell on symptoms. This is not faith, it is confusion. True faith requires consistency between word, thought, feeling, and action. You must speak your good, expect your good, act as if it is on the way, and feel gratitude before it arrives. When these four are in agreement, the law has no choice but to respond. Faith does not ask for reassurance. It creates reassurance. When you truly believe, you do not look outside for validation, you look within. The still, small voice within you, the knowing that cannot be shaken by circumstance, is the birthplace of faith. It whispers, all is well. Even when the storm is raging, it says, it is done, even while the outer world says otherwise. It knows what the eyes cannot see, because it is rooted in the spiritual law that governs all things. To grow in faith, you must feed it daily. Speak your truth. Surround yourself with those who believe. Read words that uplift and affirm. Guard against the voice of fear, whether it speaks from your own mind or the mouths of others. Fear is contagious, but so is faith. Choose carefully which one you allow to grow. Faith is not merely believing in God. It is believing with God. It is aligning your consciousness with the infinite intelligence that holds galaxies together, that designed every cell in your body, that set the laws of cause and effect into perfect, timeless order. When you operate in faith, you become a co-creator. You step into divine partnership. You speak, and it is done, not because you are powerful, but because the power flows through you. To say, "I believe," is to make a declaration that the inner world is more real to you than the outer, that the truth you hold in your heart will shape the facts you see with your eyes. That spirit moves before matter, that form always follows function, and the function of faith is to lead. The law is always ready. It does not sleep, it does not forget, but it waits for your permission, your alignment, your unwavering yes. That yes is faith. And once it is given, the machinery of the infinite goes to work, moving heaven and earth to deliver what was spoken in certainty, what was held in belief, and what was activated through faith. Appearances are lies, truth is invisible. The outer world, with all its noise, movement, and visible conditions, is nothing more than a reflection of previous states of thought, belief, and emotion. What you see is not what is real in the spiritual sense. It is merely what has been accepted, repeated, and crystallized into form. The moment you understand this, you begin to detach from appearances. You begin to see with spiritual sight instead of physical eyes. You begin to claim truth, not because the evidence supports it, but because truth is unchanging, eternal, and never bound by circumstance. Everything in the physical realm is the past, already finished, already formed, already echoing something that once was. If your bank account shows lack, that is a delayed effect of prior fear, limitation, or unconscious belief. If the body reflects illness, it is an outer shell wrapped around thoughts of disorder, worry, or inherited beliefs. But this is not the truth. The truth is spiritual substance, perfect form, wholeness, and abundance. The truth is invisible. It exists in the field of divine possibility, waiting for you to believe in it, claim it, and call it forth. The world around you will often appear contradictory to your desires. You will affirm abundance, and yet see bills pile up. You will declare healing, and still feel symptoms. But that does not mean the law is not working. It means the momentum of old appearances is still fading, while the new is gathering strength in the unseen. The wise do not take direction from appearances. They know that appearances are temporary illusions projected by the mind, dressed in fear or memory, but not rooted in truth. To live by spiritual law is to rise above appearances. It is to say, I do not accept this as permanent. I know the truth, and the truth sets me free. Appearances only have power when you give them authority. When you agree with them, you solidify them. When you reject them and replace them with truth, you begin the process of transmutation. You are never a victim of what you see. You are the author, and your pen is your belief. Change your belief, and you will watch the story shift. Nothing binds more than mistaking appearance for reality. The news may tell you the world is unsafe, but truth says you are divinely protected. The mirror may reflect age or decay, but truth says your spirit is eternal, and your body renews itself under divine direction. The bank statement may show a negative balance, but truth says your supply is unlimited and new channels are opening. If you follow the appearance, you are led into fear. If you follow the truth, you are led into demonstration. It is not denial of reality, it is denial of limitation. The spiritual path is not delusion, it is higher perception. It does not ask you to ignore the facts, it asks you to recognize that facts are malleable and subordinate to spiritual law. What is visible is always the effect, never the cause. When you focus on the cause, infinite intelligence, divine law, and spiritual substance, you gain dominion over the visible. You no longer react to the world, you recreate it. The greatest tests come when appearances are loudest, when everything in the outer world seems to scream, failure, delay, or impossible. That is the moment to anchor into truth more deeply. Appearances are designed to distract. They tempt you to abandon your word, to speak doubt, to undo your own decree. But those who hold their inner vision in the face of contradiction are the ones who walk in miracles. They understand that spiritual sight always comes before physical manifestation. You must see it within before you see it without. To overcome appearances, you must train yourself to see through them. When a challenge arises, pause. Ask yourself, what is the truth here? If the body aches, affirm the truth is, divine life flows through every cell. If the bill arrives unexpectedly, declare the truth is, I am always provided for. If someone criticizes or rejects you, remember, the truth is, I am whole, loved, and accepted by the divine. The truth does not change with moods or seasons. It is constant. It is the spiritual bedrock beneath the shifting sands of human experience. You are not required to fight appearances. That gives them more energy. You are only required to see beyond them, like mist dissolving under sunlight. False conditions fade when truth is held with unwavering conviction. The universe does not respond to panic, it responds to poise. When you maintain your poise in the face of negative appearances, you show the universe that you are rooted in law, not circumstance. That is when the shift begins. This is why visualization is powerful. You are not pretending, you are perceiving the higher reality. You are training the mind to see what spirit already knows. You are adjusting your inner lens until the picture within becomes clearer than the world without. And once that inner picture is strong, appearances must align. They have no choice. The outer must always conform to the inner, that is law. Children often have this power naturally. They imagine themselves as heroes, queens, healers, and magicians, and so they become. They are not bound by appearances because they have not yet been taught to fear them. They believe what they see inside, and the world bends to meet them. This is not fantasy, it is faith. And faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Not imagined, seen. Seen with the eye of spirit, with the vision of knowing, not the lens of fear. Appearances test your allegiance. Will you trust what your senses report, or what spirit reveals? Will you surrender to what seems or stand firm in what is? Every time you choose truth over appearance, you strengthen your creative power. You become less reactive, more magnetic. You begin to shape life instead of being shaped by it. You step into your spiritual authority. You cannot serve two masters, truth and fear. You must choose. Every time you agree with appearances that contradict your desire, you dilute your word and delay your demonstration. But when you speak truth over every condition, regardless of what it looks like, you become a clear channel through which the law can work. The outer world begins to shift, not by effort, but by spiritual law responding to your inner alignment. You are not bound by what is. You are guided by what can be, and what can be is always greater than what has been. The invisible world is teeming with forms ready to manifest the moment you stop bowing to appearances and start bowing to truth. The truth is you are whole. The truth is you are rich. The truth is you are safe. The truth is you are guided. The truth is invisible to the eyes but loud to the soul, and when you live by it, the appearances must eventually fall into line. You are one with your good. There is no separation between you and the desires of your heart except the illusion created by doubt, fear, and inherited belief. Your good is not distant. It is not something you must chase, earn, or plead for. It is part of you, an extension of the divine presence within you, always available, always ready to express through you the moment you align with it in consciousness. The idea that your good is outside of you is the greatest lie taught by the world of appearances. You do not attract your good as a stranger. You allow it as your birthright. You are not meant to live in lack, sickness, confusion, or struggle. Those conditions arise when you forget who you are, when you believe you are separate from the source, from the divine intelligence that formed you, breathes through you, and surrounds you with infinite supply. The moment you remember your identity as a divine being, you reconnect with the current of abundance, clarity, vitality, and joy that has never left you. Your good has never been lost. It has only been obscured by limited thought. To believe you are one with your good is to remove the barriers of when, how, and if. It is to stop waiting for the right moment, the perfect circumstance, or someone else's approval. It is to declare, I am in the presence of my good now. I am the expression of divine wholeness, and all that is mine by right flows to me freely. It is to claim that there is no delay in spirit, only delay in recognition. The good you seek is seeking you. It is not hiding. It is already yours in the invisible, waiting to be received through alignment. This alignment begins in thought and feeling. You must think and feel from the place of oneness, not longing. Longing says, it is far from me. Oneness says, it is here now. Every time you think from separation, you reinforce the delay. Every time you think from unity, you speed the demonstration. This is why spiritual practice is not about begging for blessings. It is about training the mind to accept what already is. It is about lifting your vibration to the level of the answer, the healing, the supply. Your desires are not accidents. They are messages from the divine urging you to expand, to remember more of who you are. The moment you feel a desire rise within you, pure, joyful, aligned, it is a sign that it already exists for you in the field of divine substance. It would not be yours to want if it were not yours to receive. The desire is a seed, and your recognition of oneness is the sunlight that causes it to grow. When you affirm, I am one with perfect supply, you are not hoping, you are claiming. When you declare, I am one with radiant health, you are not pretending, you are activating. Nothing stands between you and your good but belief in separation. This belief may be quiet, hidden, or passed down from others, but it works silently to delay your realization. You may believe you must be more spiritual, more deserving, or more accomplished before your good can arrive. You may think you have to struggle, suffer, or prove yourself. But the divine law does not operate on merit. It operates on consciousness. It is not waiting for you to earn. It is waiting for you to awaken. The acorn does not strive to become the oak. It unfolds because the pattern is already present within it. In the same way, the pattern of your good is already within you. It is not created by effort. It is revealed through awareness. To know that you are one with your good is to stop pushing and start allowing. It is to walk through your day with quiet certainty, knowing that every need is met before it arises, that every right idea is placed in your path, and that every blessing you require is already encoded in your soul. The more you dwell in the consciousness of oneness, the more effortlessly good flows to you. People appear to help you. Opportunities unfold. Money comes through unexpected channels. Healing takes place without struggle, not because you forced it, but because you stopped resisting it. Resistance always comes from thinking you are separate, from the belief that you must do everything alone, that you are unworthy, or that the universe is withholding from you. Oneness dissolves resistance by reminding you you are never alone, you are always worthy, and the universe only says yes to your inner state. This is why gratitude is so powerful. It is not just a pleasant feeling. It is a declaration of unity. When you give thanks for something before it arrives in visible form, you are saying, I know this already exists. I am already one with it. That attitude magnetizes the unseen into the seen. It collapses time and space between you and your good. The vibration of gratitude resonates with the vibration of divine provision. It affirms that your source is spiritual, not circumstantial. You are not separate from the money you need. You are not separate from the health you desire. You are not separate from love, opportunity, joy, or peace. You are the channel through which all of these express. To claim oneness is to take your rightful place as a vessel of divine outpouring, not in arrogance, but in humble certainty. You were never meant to go without. You were meant to overflow. When you walk through life with the awareness that you are one with your good, your energy changes. You no longer seek approval. You radiate authenticity. You no longer fear the future. You trust the unfolding. You no longer try to convince others. You know your truth and let your demonstration speak. The inner becomes your home, and the outer becomes a mirror reflecting your state of consciousness. This truth applies in every area. In relationships, you are one with harmony and mutual love. In health, you are one with the blueprint of divine perfection. In business, you are one with right action, divine timing, and perfect circulation. There is no area where oneness does not apply. The same law governs all. You do not need to know the details. You only need to remain in the awareness of unity. The law responds not to effort but to embodiment. The more you embody the feeling of being one with your good, the more naturally the outer world adjusts to reflect it. You are not trying to make something happen. You are letting what already is come into visibility. This is the spiritual way. It is not forceful. It is not anxious. It is receptive, faithful, and expectant. Whenever fear arises, it is a signal that you have momentarily forgotten your oneness. Return to center. Speak the truth. I am one with divine wisdom, divine strength, divine supply. I am never separate from the source of my life. I am never separate from the love that made me. The more often you speak these truths, the more they become your natural state, and from that state, demonstration is inevitable. Miracles obey spiritual law. They are not random acts of divine favor, reserved for the worthy or the few. They are not exceptions to reality but expressions of it. Reality as it truly is, governed by spiritual principles, not human logic. A miracle is simply the result of spiritual law acting without interference. It is the natural outworking of truth when doubt, fear, and resistance are removed. The universe does not withhold miracles. It is constantly offering them. But they manifest only where the soil of consciousness is prepared to receive them. What we call a miracle is nothing more than the invisible becoming visible through the clarity of belief. To the material mind, the miraculous is impossible because it defies reason. But to the spiritually awake, it is expected. Miracles do not operate by chance. They follow the same universal laws that govern the stars, the tides, and the growth of a seed. The law is always working, and it works best where belief is strong and unwavering. The more aligned your mind is with divine law, the more frequently you will see what others call miracles appear in your life. People often imagine miracles as divine interventions that break natural order, but in truth, miracles are demonstrations of higher order. They occur not by violating law, but by fulfilling it more completely. They do not ignore cause and effect. They reveal the true cause, which is spiritual, and the highest effect, which is harmony. When you affirm the presence of health, wealth, peace, or protection, and do so with faith, you are not hoping for magic. You are invoking law, and law always responds. Every condition can be changed the moment it is no longer believed to be fixed. Miracles arise when you no longer see the current circumstance as the ultimate authority, but recognize spiritual truth as the only reality. The moment you stop bowing to appearances and begin aligning with principle, you shift the field. The situation must respond, not because you begged or pleaded, but because you understood. The miracle is in the knowing. The moment you know, with conviction, the outcome changes. The form shifts. The so-called impossible becomes ordinary. This is why miracles happen quickly when belief is pure. Children often experience them because their faith is uncluttered by reason or doubt. They have not yet been taught the limits of the material world. They believe wholeheartedly, and so their results are immediate. The adult mind, filled with skepticism and conditioned by past failures, often delays its own good by needing proof before belief. But the spiritual law does not respond to skepticism. It responds to certainty. Miracles are born not in the mind that questions, but in the heart that knows. You do not create miracles. You align with them. You do not force the universe to move on your behalf. You allow it. You open the channel through which the miracle already present in the invisible can pour itself into form. The miracle is not something that happens to you. It is something that happens through you. The clearer your consciousness, the faster the miracle arrives. The cleaner your mental atmosphere, the more easily the demonstration occurs. A healing that defies diagnosis is not a break in law. It is law asserting itself against false belief. An unexpected windfall is not luck. It is divine supply answering the vibration of receptivity. A restored relationship is not coincidence. It is the action of love flowing where resistance has been released. These are not exceptions. They are reflections of spiritual alignment. Every miracle is the result of law, spiritual law doing what it is designed to do when the conditions are right. The condition is always consciousness. You cannot manipulate law with words alone. You must feel the truth of what you declare. The affirmation is the key, but belief is the hand that turns it. When you speak, you must speak from the place of already knowing. Not hoping, not wishing, knowing. This is why inner preparation is everything. Miracles do not respond to anxiety masked as affirmation. They respond to calm, steady knowing, an inner poise that does not move. Even when appearances do, miracles are obedient. They arrive not with fanfare, but with precision. The moment you fully believe, they show up. Often quietly through channels you never imagined, with timing you could not have planned. They are the product of spiritual law responding to spiritual consciousness. When the inside matches the truth of the divine, the outside must fall into line. There is no power on earth that can block a miracle when belief is aligned and resistance is gone. The mistake many make is looking for the miracle outside of themselves. They wait for a person, a letter, a change in circumstance. But the outer only reflects the inner. The miracle is not there. It is here, in the moment you decide to believe completely in divine order. In the moment you let go of the story of lack, the fear of timing, the grasping for control. In the moment you say, with full conviction, this is already handled in spirit, and then proceed as if it were true. You are not separated from the realm of miracles. You live in it, you breathe it, you move through it daily. The question is not whether miracles are available. The question is whether your inner climate allows them to bloom. Every thought of doubt, every word of worry, every moment of self-pity muddies the channel. Every thought of faith, every declaration of truth, every moment of gratitude clears it. You do not need to beg for miracles. You only need to prepare the way. Gratitude is one of the greatest activators of miracles. It aligns you with the vibration of receiving. When you give thanks for what you do not yet see, you signal to the universe that you know it is already yours. That confidence draws it to you. Gratitude is the magnet of manifestation. It says, I am ready. It says, I trust. It says, I know this is already done in spirit, and I celebrate it now. You must begin to expect miracles, not as rare events, but as natural expressions of a spiritually aligned life. Expectation is faith in action. It is the invisible signal you send to the universe that you are open, ready, and prepared to receive. It is not forced, and it is not anxious. It is calm, confident, and grounded in spiritual law. You expect the sun to rise, the tide to flow, the seed to grow. In the same way, expect the law to do its work when you have spoken your word and held it in unwavering belief. You are not at the mercy of random chance. You are not a victim of delay, diagnosis, or denial. You are the channel through which miracles flow. And the more you understand spiritual law, the more natural these miracles become. They do not belong to saints or sages. They belong to the awakened, to those who recognize the power within, align with truth, and refuse to take appearances as final. You are surrounded by divine intelligence, divine substance, and divine timing. All that is required is your belief, your alignment, and your willingness to accept what is already yours in the unseen.